Hola, hola, hola. Bienvenidos. Welcome everybody to the Love Live Rocking podcast, or I sometimes say the Love Live Rocking, because this is all about the love for live music. And my guest today is Mr. Joel Clarke, somebody that I just watched perform live for the first time ever a couple of nights ago. Joel, tell us about that concert.
Hey, well, thanks first for having me, Wilmer. I really appreciate this. Uh, yeah, you saw our band Reflective Soul, which is a collective soul tribute band. You saw us at Amplified in Dallas
Indeed.
uh, on a Thursday night.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming out on a weeknight and spending your evening with us. It was a really fun show. We had a really good friend of mine, Mark Moss, which I think you've spoken to before. His band opened for us, and they had so much energy. And then we went on stage and played for an hour and a half, and just gave it everything we had for an hour and a half, and ended up having a really great show.
And indeed, you did give it everything you had. You know, I have mentioned to you when I was reaching out that I am familiar with the greatest hits. I used to play that CD for a lot, you know, for a couple of years. Like, I knew a lot of the songs, but just the greatest hits. And yes, I was mildly familiar with the radio songs. What I do love about Collective Souls are the covers of the albums. I don't know if you have a thought on those, but I find them very artsy and creative.
Yeah, the first one that shines on,
Hints, allegations,
hands
and
down.
things left unsaid.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great album cover. I love that with a little guy like
Yeah,
screaming with his arms.
yeah.
Of course, the most famous album ever, the '95 Blue album, which it's just funny, which is like the album I learned how to play guitar to.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, yeah. Back in '95, there wasn't YouTube in '95, or you know,
True,
like,
true. There wasn't.
I had a VHS tape that taught me how to play guitar chords, and then I took a Collective Soul CD and stuck it in the CD player and just listened. The Blue album is probably everyone's favorite. That was a great album. I love Dosage with the bees coming out of the mouth.
Love that cover.
Yeah, their new album, I think their newest one in 2019 was called Blood or Bleed.
Uh
I
huh.
can't remember. It's very bizarre. It's got like a
Now,
pregnant lady on the
now,
front.
now that is interesting, Joe, because you're in a tribute band for Collective Soul, and we're talking about that the album from 2019. You're not fully familiar with it yet. How does that make you feel in regards to how the general public would also approach the music? That somewhat there is a golden era for this band that we are familiar with the songs. They had, of course, their successful run. It was like 5 platinum albums in a row, so they were very consistent. It was not a one hit wonder. But how do you interpret the fact that even as being a tribute band, there's newer material that you're not quite familiar with? What do you attribute that to?
Well, I think as a tribute band, um, our main goal should be play the songs that everybody knows, because that's the songs they want to hear. And generally, when we play shows as Reflective Soul, people will come up to us after the set and be like, "I can't believe that Collective Soul plays that song. I've known that song forever, but I didn't know it was Collective Soul." And we hear that about a bunch of different songs. Now, the true diehard Collective Soul fans, because it's weird with Collective Soul, unlike other bands. It seems like if you're a Collective Soul fan, you were like both feet deep into the pool, like cement blocks on, like you love their stuff, even their new stuff.
Hmm.
And most people don't even know that they're still recording and they
Yeah.
still putting out albums. And in fact, their singer Ed Rollins in another band called the Sweet Tea Project, and nobody knows that. And it's more
Right.
like a country kind of Americana music. But the new people want to hear the newer songs, and we play a few of them, just not many. The newer songs are more kind of really kind of rock geared,
Hmm.
where the older songs that everyone knows were more ballad style songs like "Run." Let's see, like "The World I Know,"
Hmm.
things like that. There's a lot of like the 12 string guitars play it a lot, and things like that. That was like their really most popular stuff. And the new stuff is really kind of just like crunchy guitars,
So
just
would
drip.
you see yourself as a diehard Collective Soul fan, like somebody who, if you were going to a concert, and let me include the question: have you ever seen them live there? But if you're going to see Collective Soul live, what do you expect to hear from them? Do you expect all the hits and some deep tracks? Do you expect some hits and a lot of the newer album played? Tell me about that and your concert
I,
experiences with them.
I've seen them live in the last few years. I saw them play at the Toyota Music Factory out here in, which
Great
is in
venue,
like Los.
great venue.
Oh, yeah. And they had a really cool lineup because it was like Soul Asylum, them, and Three Doors Down. It was like all these great like bands from my childhood, and
Yeah, from the
uh,
90s.
Yeah, from the 90s.
Yeah.
And they played, it was probably like 50-50, like
Okay.
50-50 their old stuff and 50-50 their new stuff. And there was what you would like, you would think they're going to end with like Shine or like Precious Declaration or December, like the really like huge songs. And they'll actually play those really early in the set. And I think my personal opinion is they're just tired of playing them
Okay.
because they've been like, I don't know, almost 30 years now.
Yeah.
And they like playing their new stuff. And so they when they play, they like playing their new stuff. And we've had people come to our shows, two different couples at two different shows. So it wasn't like these people knew each other, but both of these people actually happen to be friends with the band.
Okay.
And um, they've sent images and videos of us to the band, and they told us that they really liked that we concentrated on playing the older music because that's what they want to hear. They want to hear the hits. And one of these people sent a video. We were playing in Kingsland, Texas, which is out by the hill country, and they sent a video of us to the band and told the band that we do it better than they do and that we're their new favorite band. And
Oh my goodness.
I asked them, I was like, please don't say that to them. Like, I don't want to get a cease and desist letter, like get sued. Like, please,
Yeah.
please don't say that.
What would you say to Ed Roland if you had a chance to see him after a show? Like you said that you've seen them live. Have you ever tried to get the VIP packages if it were available, or are you the guy that would stand there 3 hours to get his autograph?
No, no,
Okay.
no. I'm not even the guy that will like if my band's opening, I won't stay for the next band.
Okay, well, appreciate the honesty for everybody listening. If the Def Legend guys are listening, they should not expect you in the audience for the performance. I know you're playing with them next, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So tell me about then. How do you go about your set list? Because you guys had a very deep set list. Like I'm the person that loves to discover new music, especially live. There's no way that I go to a concert only if it's really, really not my style. But that I come out of a concert thinking, okay, I don't want to look for that band. I'm always wanting to hear the songs that I just heard live because they come alive. In a way, and you guys played 23 songs, if I'm not mistaken. I hope I'm not because I just counted it off your set list. I'm the guy that stays after the show and tries to get souvenirs. So even as you guys are playing, I'm gonna be the guy with raising all my arms up in the air, trying to get a screenshot of the set list. But I'll tell you why I do it, because if there's a song I don't know, I want to quickly take a glimpse at the lyrics, so that I can sing along, to enjoy it myself, and to offer that feedback to you, because I think you guys deserve to know that the audience is enjoying the show. But let's talk about the set list, because you said that Collective Soul focuses on hits. But even the
Mhm.
greatest hits album that I had, 7 Year Itch, had about 13 songs, out of which five were not necessarily hits. So
Right.
if I were to be, prompted to write 10 songs by memory, I don't think I could come up with 10 that I would call definitive hits. You guys play 23. How do you go
Mhm.
about that set list? Does each band member throw in new favorites? Does each band member say, hey, we want to cover this for the diehards? How does that come along in a group of five people like Reflective Soul?
Yeah. So it's our band. Every member in our band knows Collective Soul a different way. Like I said, in '95, I was in high school and I was playing their stuff and trying to learn how to play guitar.
Mhm.
Our bass player, who's the guy who actually started the band, he didn't even know who they were until like 2015. And he went to House of Blues with a buddy of his to see a concert, and it happened that Collective Soul was there.
Mhm.
And they played. He fell in love with them in 2015. So all of his ideas for the set list are really the new songs,
That's
songs like
amazing.
Contagious and Are You the Answer, these newer tracks, Right as Rain, which is basically a country song. We get a lot of input from like him on playing the newer stuff, and there's me over there in the other corner that's like, we're gonna play the songs from the '90s.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
when it really comes down to writing our set list, we're really kind of gifted in a way with Collective Soul because their music is always changing and evolving, and was kind of more rock pop, and then it became like more guitar focused and more rock focused. So we tailor every set list to who we're playing with. So like when we play with Def Legend, there probably won't be any of the ballad songs. Like Run won't be in there. Are You the Answer won't be in there. Things like The World I Know and Shine and December, they have to be played because they're huge hits. But we're kind of lucky that since their musical catalog is so big, we can write a set list to every show that we play. And a lot of other tribute artists don't do that. You can go to a tribute show by other artists and they'll play the exact same set list that they played the last time they played. And I'm not naming any names, but there's been shows that I went to and the entire audience knows which song is next and
Yeah.
they're already got their up and screaming. I'm like,
Yeah.
you got to change it.
Well, I got to tell you something. I know what you're talking about. And sometimes I wonder, do websites like Setlist hurt or help? Because there's a
Mhm.
couple of shows that I haven't gone to when I look at the setlist. I'm like, I've heard this before. I'm not gonna pay over $100 to hear the same thing again.
Yeah.
But there's been a few times, and I say probably a dozen times, so at least 10 times more, where I've looked at the setlist. Oh my goodness, I gotta see this because in the last few months they played these songs. I'm hoping they're gonna get to hear this. But the thing with tribute bands, to me, what it's amazing is that I have experienced that you guys play the older songs in a way that sounds better than what the songwriters band plays them now, because like you said, they may be tired of them. 25 years playing the
Yeah.
same song, 40 years like in the case of other bands. You guys play them with this fresh vitality, the energy of a group of people who are playing them maybe for, like, I don't know, 10th, 20th time in the year, not necessarily 100th time. Also, I think you guys are aiming for a perfection that the
Mhm.
songwriters don't aim for anymore. So I just totally love the shows that tribute bands put forth.
Yeah.
What is the perception that you guys have as far as the audience? Because going back to the last show that we went, you played 23 songs, but there was not a
Mhm.
lot of people in there. Does that impact how you feel about it? How about the set list? Go ahead and talk to me about that.
I mean, it doesn't really impact how I feel about the set list. It impacts how I feel about the show,
Okay.
uh, because we feed off the audience. If the audience is having a good time, we'll have a good time. If the audience is kind of just standing there like really dull, like it seems like they're not active with us. It's hard to put the show on. I think it's gotten easier because I used to sing in cover bands,
Okay.
and in cover, um, you know, it's not a character. So like I play a character, right? I play
I
Ed
thought that
Roll.
was your hair. I thought that was your hair, Joel. It looked like combed the wrong way, but I thought that's his
Right.
natural hair. Look at you. No
Uh,
blonde, 2 feet long
uh,
locks.
so I think it's gotten easier as a tribute artist, at least for me, for
Uh huh.
speaking for me, um, that it doesn't matter who's in front of me, if it's 10 people or 400 people, because I'm playing the character of Ed Roland, I'm going to give you Ed Roland as
Mm-hmm.
best as I can. And it doesn't matter if you're sitting there and you're being dull or anything like that. Now, I might say something in the microphone to try to get you to interact with us,
Yeah.
but it's not going to affect the performance I'm going to give you because besides, it I need to make sure that the people that paid for their tickets get what they paid for anyway.
Okay.
There weren't a whole lot of people at that show at Amplified, and again, it was Thursday night. It
Yeah.
was chilly outside. It's in Dallas. It's not near a neighborhood.
Correct.
Um, but you know what? What happened from that show is because we left it all on the stage and gave you guys everything we had. The venue came to me and said that they were so happy with us that they're going to use us to open for national acts when they come through town.
Are you
So
serious?
yeah,
That's
so
amazing news.
yeah, we were and then part of that too is just being easy to work with.
Okay.
So a lot of tribute artists, and again, I won't name names, but they're out there.
But you have some
Uh,
in your mind, I can tell.
yeah, I'm thinking of specific ones right now.
All
A
right.
lot of tribute um, are difficult to work with because they feel like they are the real artist or they are the real band. And if it's funny when you start talking to like sound guys and start talking to engineers and these people that work the shows, there was 4 stagehands that worked at Amplified for us, running the lights, running our sound, running our mixes. And if you talk to some of those people, they'll tell you that they'd rather work with the national acts, the touring acts, because they're nicer than the tribute artists, because some of the tribute artists have such a big ego about who they are.
Yeah.
And heard that a couple years ago from these guys, and since then I've always made sure that I stay very humble. I'm very thankful for those guys and those guys being there. I don't know if you heard me that night in the microphone, but I made sure that those guys got recognized as well because
Even by name. I heard you mention a couple of guys by name. I wasn't paying attention or
uh,
expecting it, so it surprised me. But
Yeah, you know, you can be the most amazing singer in the world or the most amazing guitar player in the world, and all they got to do is turn a knob, and
Hmm.
you.
Yeah,
So,
true, true.
you know,
Now,
so you need.
here's the thing. Doesn't it come with the territory of wanting to be on that stage and wanting to be a rock star to have a big ego? Because I think that's part of it. It comes with the job. There's some people who are incredibly songwriters, incredible performers. When you hear them play on an acoustic guitar, then you say, "I don't want to be in front of people." So it takes some. We also know incredibly famous, and I'm not talking about people you and I might know personally, but famous celebrities who sold millions of records who are just very hard to deal with, but it's that ego that drives them to that success that keeps them, that takes them there in the first place and keeps them there. So how do you balance that with the fact that tribute acts, in my opinion, they need it? Because as much as I would love to be there, I don't have the confidence to think that I'm good enough to be getting anybody's attention for a set list or even a song.
Um, well, there's a lot of different ways to answer that question. So I've been on stage for over 20 years. Been playing guitar for over 30, and when I first started playing out, and when I first started singing for cover bands and things of that nature, you know, I had a huge ego, big ego, and you know, I thought I was a rock star, and you
You
get
don't think
humbled.
you're a rock star anymore?
No.
Wow, because from a fan perspective, what is a rock star? Because to me, you were the classy rock star, the guy who is there rocking the show, feeling those songs, jumping the stage, connecting with your band members first. Because that I was impressed with that. It looked like this was a band of five guys who'd been friends forever. And you could have been
Yeah,
playing any other kind of music. I could tell you have the ability to do that, and you as a singer as well. And you would have enjoyed yourselves just as much. So that was great to see that chemistry. But
yeah.
to me, a rock star, it doesn't necessarily come with negative attributes. It comes with positive things. It's the ability to make us all enjoy the music, have a great time, focus on your performance. And I think you
Mhm.
accomplished that. So in my eyes, you're a rock star.
Thank you. Thank you for saying that. Um, I, I, I got humbled very early on in this scene, and where people let me know that I'm very easily replaceable. You
Do
know,
you want to elaborate? How did that happen?
you know, just when you know I was younger, you know, my early to mid 20s, and I would go out and play these shows, and you know, just be like one of those kids that would just be like, "Don't you know who I am? I'm Joel Clarke," and you know, I remember one night some lady brought me a drink to the stage, and I threw the lime out of the drink back at her, and I told her I don't like fruit in my drinks. You know, it just like you. I was a. Can I cuss on here? Is it cuss? Can
You
I cuss?
can say whatever the hell you want. I'll just bleep it out later.
I was an asshole.
Okay. All right. That's a word that
And
every kid has heard a lot.
yeah, and so you know, I was able to really reel that in once I realized that there's a bunch of other guys just like me that can do the same thing, but at the same time too, I also learned how to give my band the spotlight too, because there's parts even, and I don't know if you noticed in that set at Amplified where I walk off the stage because there's
I
no
did notice that.
on, and my guys, and you know, it's their time to shine, and I want them to be able to feel like they're in the front of the stage and they're having a good time. You know, and how you said I connect with my band members, I like, you know, I want them to know that you know they're just as part of this band as I am. I'm the front man, but I'm not anything without them. uh, you know, I always say people always tell me that I'm a really good musician, or I'm a really good singer, or that my band is really good, and I'll say that our band is only as good as the people that are in it. Like I feel like I'm always the weakest link, and I'm surrounded by musicians that are better than me. I won't hire you unless you're better than me, because I want to be elevated to the next level. So I only want people that are going to push me. In my band, they are good. All of them
Okay.
are amazing.
Now you refer to this as your band. Is this the only band that you're in right now?
This is the only band that I'm in right now. I've been in other bands at the same time. I used to sing for a Goo Goo Dolls tribute band, which was incredibly difficult, by the way. Not because the singing's hard or anything like that, but if you're a fan of the Goo Goo Dolls, you know that every single one of their songs is in alternate tuning. So
Hmm.
you either need 17 guitars to do it, or you have to buy like I run specific guitars and software that allow me to like basically push a button on stage and my it changes the tuning of my guitar. But that band was really fun. It kind of teetered out. But other than that, I do solo acoustic work. So I do a lot of just me and my acoustic guitar, and I'll go play shows for like 3 hours. Um, and I'll just do that on the weekends.
What kind of shows you do? Are there corporate gigs? Are there public places? Is there a place that anybody could come and see you perform if they bought a ticket?
Yes, yes to all that. I do a lot of private gigs. Done a lot of private gigs, especially around the holiday season. That's when you get a lot of money from doing that. Um, I'm on a rotation at golf country clubs, which you have to be a member to go to those. But I work with booking agents that put me in public spaces, and generally I'll never post about my acoustic shows unless it's someplace that the public can come to.
Okay.
So like, I think I had one like a week ago, but it was at a private club, so nobody could come to it. So I don't even put it out there that I do it because I don't want to let anybody to be like, well, I want to go, and
Yeah.
you
How about after the fact? How about after you've done it? Do you ever post pictures of you saying, "Hey, I was here last time and I had a great time"?
yeah, yeah. And sometimes I'll do like Facebook lives while I'm playing. I'll just set my phone up and it'll just be a live stream of me playing for one or two songs, or even on my YouTube channel, I'll record a song live, and I've uploaded just like a live video of me playing before on my YouTube
Okay.
channel.
So now that you're talking about your YouTube channel, why don't you speak for the audience? Where can they find about what you have done, about the shows that they could come to in the future, whether they're a Reflective Soul or your solo stuff? Why don't you tell us the names of where to find you on YouTube or any other platforms?
So our biggest platform is Facebook.
Okay.
Um, Go to facebook.com/reflective soul band,
Hmm.
or if you were friends with me or any of my band members, it's all listed in our profile, so you can just say like you'll just click in the about section and it says that I sing for Reflective Soul, or that that Keith plays guitar for Reflective Soul, and you can link to it from there. We have an Instagram site. It's not we don't really we really need to work on our Instagram. But it's,
Okay.
again, Instagram, or it's at Reflective Soul Band. Reflective Soul has its own YouTube channel, which is where we'll upload videos from our show. We got videos from Amplified that'll probably be uploaded to our YouTube channel, which again is just youtube.com/Reflective Soul Band. And then I have a personal YouTube channel where I put out music that I like doing music, and it's there's no Collective Soul music on it, but it's just stuff that is personal to me and things that I put out. And that
Okay.
is Joel at Joel Clarke Music. And my name is spelt weird. I have an
With
E
an
on the
E at
end.
the end.
Yeah.
Are you
So
familiar with the band Warrior Soul?
no.
Okay, the singer is called Corey Clark, and that's the only time that I ever seen the last name spelled like that. So I just wanted to mention that. It's a band that it was managed by the same management team that handled Metallica. Even Lars Ulrich called their debut album one of the best albums of the 1990s, but they never hit
Uh,
big. So they're not necessarily that famous. Now I want to ask you about something. If I go to your Facebook page, it says tribute singer Jim Rat, aspiring male model, and attempted YouTube fame. Why don't you elaborate a little bit on that? Let's start with the tribute singer. Right now, you're only doing Reflective Soul, and you've
um,
done Goo Goo Dolls. I want to get
mhm.
back to you on something you said. I'm a Goo Goo Dolls greatest hits fan as well. I have three albums, of course. I have A Boy Named Goo, and I have the two greatest hits, Volume 1 and 2, which are full of amazing songs. I didn't know what you said about alternate tuning. I just know that they sounded slightly different. So
Yeah.
probably I'm not a Goo Goo Dolls fan then, because if I don't know they were in alternate tuning. Is there any
Every
other tribute band that you played in the past that you would like to mention, either because you remember it as a great time, or was it a significant part of your career that you spent many years in?
no other tribute bands. I was in a cover band for a long time that I ran with and throughout the years we had a lot of different members, but we came down to like the last 8 years. There's this really core member of myself. Our drummer's name was Josh Cavender, who now lives down in like Pflugerville, and he drums for country bands, and that's what he does for a living. And he's a great drummer. He's one of those drummers that it's like your ears hurt after you play with him. He hits so hard, and he's such a little
Hmm.
guy that beats the hell out of the drums. And he was so much fun to play with and so high energy. And then there was the bass player, William Velasquez, and William and I are still friends to this day. And if you follow me on Facebook or you follow me on YouTube, you know that I still work with William. In fact, a lot of my YouTube videos are made with William, and they're on my channel, but I also go out and I do videos with William, and they're featured on his channel, where I'll go in and do work with him. And we do a lot of work together, and we have more stuff coming out. And it might be too early to say this, but William's a fantastic musician, and he's like an aspiring director, videographer, and he is decided to write his own YouTube miniseries, and he's asked me to be with him. So
That's amazing. So you're going to be acting in it?
yeah, yeah, and
That's
that's not.
incredible. That's incredible. Well, it
Yeah,
may be too early to say so, but if when you are ready to say more, where could we learn more about this? Go to your Facebook page, maybe?
yeah, it'll probably be announced on my Facebook page or on William's Facebook page, and we link stuff back and forth between our pages. So if you're on my page or his page, you'll see any information.
That's
And
amazing. See, one of the goals that I have with this podcast, there's not many goals, but one of them is just to promote the people that decide to dedicate some of their time to creativity. And I say some because, like myself, I have a full time job. I haven't asked you about that yet, but I know that some of us are still so passionate about being creative. We just want to put it out there. It's not a livelihood. It's not a way to make money, much less to become rich. It's just a need that our soul has to express itself. I wanted to ask you, you mentioned his name is William Velasquez. The way you pronounce his last name struck me as incredibly natural, as if you're familiar with Spanish language. Do you speak some Spanish?
lo siento, yo practicando en español. Uh, yeah, I speak a little
Wow,
Spanish.
muy bien.
Gracias, gracias. I speak a little Spanish just because I guess one because I'm from Texas, so
Okay. Well,
but
I tell you, I live in Texas 19 years and meet a lot of people, and barely people can get off of the hola, ¿cómo está? And then I say, muy bien, gracias, y tú? And they're like, I just know how to say hello. I don't even know how to understand it back to me.
no, no, yeah. William is Puerto Rican and he's from the island,
Okay.
and that's important for two reasons. I'll tell you why. But
Please.
also, just throughout the years, I've always just tried to. I've never been successful at it, but I've always just tried to learn as much Spanish as I can. I've had the apps on my phone, the Duolingos, and the things like that. I'm one of those people that I don't like to stop learning,
Mm-hmm.
and so, and Spanish has always been one of those things that I really wanted to get down, just because it's just helpful and
Yes.
it makes me also just makes me feel smarter. But William is from the island of Puerto Rico, and like he was born there, went to school there, went to college there, and he and I had the rare opportunity a number of years ago. We received a grant for our music, and we went to Puerto Rico twice, and we toured the island playing music. And when you're there, if you don't speak Spanish,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. True.
so
Everybody. Well, here's the thing. Even if you speak Spanish, if you're not familiar with the Puerto Rican, I don't want to say accent or dialect, but they have a way of speaking that it's somewhat a little bit
yeah, they
challenging for someone like me who has never been there.
Spanish, and I learned that very quick because the Spanish I learned is like formal, like Spanish, and they have their own dialect. Like for instance, in Spanish, to say hamburger is hamburguesa, but in Puerto Rico, the way to say hamburger is hamburger. And,
Yeah.
and like somebody asked me one time what my name was, and I said Joel, and they said they just looked at me like they were like I just like I was a donkey or something, and then William leaned over my shoulder and he said his name is Joel, and then he pulled me to the side and said they don't speak proper Spanish here. You need to stop
Okay.
talking like that.
I see. I see. Interesting. It seems like you got a great friendship with William because you even take trips. I will not say international trips because to Puerto Rico it's still the same country. Uh, or we could get political about that topic, and I'd be happy to engage because when I meet Puerto Rican people and they speak Spanish, one of the first questions I ask them, "Are you pro statehood?" And that gets of gets of a whole
Yeah,
nice conversation. I do love to talk to politics, by the way. Do you?
I do, but I won't do it unless you ask me to.
That's great. I'm of the same mindset because I always say the last thing I want to talk to you about is the weather. I don't care about the weather. I mean, it's obvious. It's a nice day, huh? Well, don't you see it already? Oh, it seems like it's
Yeah,
gonna rain. Well, you're such a wise man. That's how I say in my mind. Of course, I don't ever respond like that. I love to talk politics and religion, but I feel that people are afraid of it. I think that as long as we can remain civil, there's a lot to talk about in both cases. And in the case
pretty.
of politics, I always love to hear what the other person has to say because I know they believe it. I know I will not change their minds. I'm trying to inform myself better. And I think it's so easy to get along because, like, for example, I fell in love with the way you were performing on stage. I thought it was incredible. I fell in love with your attitude, with your stage presence, with the desire to connect with the fans. You mentioned that you step off the stage a couple of times, but if I recall correctly, a couple of those times you were down with the fans. You were trying to get them to
Yeah,
sing along or cheering or even
yeah,
sharing a beer with Mark. So you were
yeah,
engaging with a lot of people, and then I took the time to go a little bit into your social media pages, and there's a couple of very what people would call very firm, opinionated political points that you try to make. And I thought, wow, it's interesting because he didn't strike me
hmm
like that. But I do certainly believe that people should talk more politics. People should just remember to be civil and
yeah,
maybe try to think what the goal is. Is my goal to listen to what he says so I can just persuade him on my ideas or to tell him how wrong he is? Or maybe I should listen to try to understand where he's coming from and we could get along better.
yeah. I I'm very hard stance in what I believe, and but I'm not open to listening to your side as well if your side differs from mine, and trying to learn something. I don't feel like I should ever have the attitude of I'm not going to teach this guy or I'm not going to persuade this guy. I'm just going to give you my opinion,
True.
whether it be right or wrong. It's my opinion, and you can agree with it or disagree with it. I'm not going to give it to you unless you ask me for it. So if you don't agree with it, it's kind of your fault.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely ask you for it, but not on this podcast because I try to stay more on the topic of music and still
Yeah.
politics can be a sensitive matter. Isn't that I'm trying to be all things to all people. I just want us to have an opportunity to get to know each other more. But I believe
Yeah.
that politics
But
shapes everything we think. In my case, my political mindset is very much shaped by being somebody who grew up for 26 years in another country with English not being my
hmm
first language. And when I
hmm
heard about America and the United States, it was just, well, it's just another country. It's not my country. It looks so different. And now I'm here. My children were born here. And I'm incredibly grateful for everything this country has given me. But there's still these ideas that were shaped in a different place. So with issues that are being discussed, I just always have that filter of where I'm coming from, and it has to do with economics, nationality, and even language. And when it comes to
hmm
language, I want to say that I didn't have the interest to learn English at all until I fell in love with rock music. Now, you were
Right.
saying that you fell in love with, or at least got the interest to play guitar until you fell in love with collective soul. Is that exactly how it happened? Like you were not interested at all? Because I've talked to some guys that talk about Kiss. They wanted to be Ace Frehley. There were a
Oh,
couple of other guys that saw a specific band, but I honestly, and I mean no disrespect at all, I would have never imagined somebody heard Collective Soul and thought, I want to play guitar because of them. There's a
yeah.
lot of power in their songs, but I think it's a band that still didn't get that celebrity aspect through in a way that I would have thought somebody wants to play guitar because of Ed Roland. Can you tell me more about that?
That was the band's fault. Because I don't know if you know this, but all the albums that Collective Soul has, I think there's like 9 of them. Only 2 of them were produced in studios. The rest of them were all produced in their homes.
Yeah.
Even early albums, they did in their own homes, and their marketing was just poor marketing. And that's because Ed didn't trust anybody. I watched an interview one time with Ed, and I don't know if you know this, but one of the guitar players in the band, his name is Dean. That's Ed's little brother.
Yeah, it's brother.
And yeah, which is why I introduce my guitar player as my little brother.
Okay.
He's 10 years older than me,
10 years older than you said, right?
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, they're just really poor marketing. But I heard this interview with Ed one time, and somebody asked him that they were getting into music, and what should I do? Should I write the song first? Should I write the lyrics first? Blah blah blah. And Ed's response to that to him first was, "You need to get a lawyer." That was his. He was just, their marketing and the way they went about things were just not great. So that's why they were never really like really well known, even though they had like 17 top 10 hits. But how did I fall in love with Collective Soul or music in general? Actually, the first band that I ever fell in love with was Metallica.
Okay.
Uh,
Which
I
year?
was, oh gosh,
Could it be in
it was
91 with the Metallic album? Are you talking Enter Sandman?
Black Album 91. That was a great album. I think it was Ride the Lightning first.
Okay. Now
And
let me try to ask a question just to put everything in perspective. How old are you, Joel?
I'm 41.
41. So you were born in 1980.
81. Yeah, 81.
81.
I'm
So
yeah.
when you heard Ride the Lightning, you were not 5 years old. Or if you were, please
No,
tell us because that'd be a fantastic.
I was in middle school and somebody else had the album and I heard it and I was like, this is amazing.
Okay. What were
And
you listening to before somebody presented you with Metallica? Because I know what I
oh,
was listening to before somebody presented me with Anthrax, and the first thing I said, I was like, I don't want to go to hell. I'm not going to listen to it.
um, I was listening back then just to the radio, which back then would have been 94.5 The Edge, which was like a alternative pop
Yeah.
rock station,
But it
like
was even
Ace of
post
Base.
Nirvana. It was 3 years after Nirvana hit big. I'm assuming 94. You were 12, something like that, in middle school.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was when I, but I'll tell you, like a lot of musicians have that moment in their life where they're like, "This is it. I heard this song, or I heard this band, and I knew that's what I wanted to be for the rest of my life." I don't have that moment.
Hmm.
Um, my dad played guitar, and I wanted to be like my dad.
Okay.
And
Did he play professionally? Did he play some gigs?
no, he was just. Oh, I mean, when he was like 16 years old, he had a band,
Okay.
and they played a few gigs, but it was up in he's from Kansas, and they're like, there's nobody there.
Yeah. Did he play at home a lot? Do you remember? Do you have memories of him playing guitar on a Friday or on the weekend and you guys sitting around?
I had memories of my dad playing guitar, and so I wanted to play guitar because I wanted to be like my dad.
Tell me more about your dad. Is he still around, Joel?
Yes, yeah, he actually lives about 15 minutes west of me.
So has
Yeah.
he seen you perform live as Reflective Soul?
Yes, he has. He's. I used to play at a neighborhood in front of his house like every single Friday night, like
Okay.
20 years. And I would just play by myself. It was me just by myself in this little Mexican food restaurant that a buddy of mine owned. And I'd play for like $30 if I was lucky.
Oh, you're already charging back then.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. You've always been a pro about it.
Yeah, and so he would see me back then, and then now he's seen me progress through the years as being like a solo performer to being in cover bands to being I had an attempt at an album when I was younger. It was not good.
What was
And
not good? The attempt or the album? Because the album could have
yes,
been good and the attempt could have been bad.
both were
Okay.
not good. I was a friend of mine was a producer. He found me way back then, and we recorded the album. And then after that, he put me with a vocal coach, and I was with a vocal coach for like 3 years. So I studied voice, but we did the album before I was with the vocal coach. And if you listen to the way I sang back then versus the way I sing now, it's two different people. I could carry a tune and I could sing, and it wasn't horrible, but working with a vocal coach for about 3 years put me at the level that I'm at now, which is
So you said if
far.
I could listen to it, is there a chance anybody can listen to it? Have you posted those songs from that album on YouTube? Tell us
Oh
how to
yeah.
find them. Do we go to Joel Clarke's debut album?
There's two ways.
Okay.
You can go to my YouTube channel and you can scroll back to like some of the first videos that were uploaded like 14 years ago. And it's very tiny Joel, very little Joel. And, like in my bedroom with a guitar and a microphone, and you can hear that singer, and he is horrible.
Okay.
Or
You for
you can,
somebody that became a rock star added to in his somewhere in the middle of the life that you have now, it seemed like you were not very confident at the beginning, or you are not
no,
very gracious towards you back then.
no, not at all. I didn't like it. I didn't like doing, I was a songwriter first,
Okay.
and I started writing when I was like 18,
Okay.
and would go to like open mics and perform by myself. And then I did a lot of original shows where I would just perform my music. And I had I had a violinist that played with me, and she was amazing. She really elevated me. And she sang harmonies beautifully. And then, I had like a drummer, um, and I would go down to Dallas to like playing Deep Ellum like in the early 2000s, and I'd make like $20. And then I started playing cover music, and people started paying me more, and I like having more than one income.
So,
So
so would you say that the money distracted the path of your original music?
uh, two things distracted the path of my original music, and if we're being completely honest, and I told you I'll be an open book with you, I'll tell you both of them. One was, yes, you're right, the money. I made money when I played other people's music. And one of my biggest influences in my life, still to this day, is Prince.
Hmm.
Over the wall over here, there's a whole like mural to Prince, and
Okay.
he like April 21st, the day he passed away, will always be a hard day for me. But the other thing that got in the way of me in my original music was drinking. Uh, and that's one of the reasons why I say I was humbled as a musician. I got to the point where I thought I was, such a great musician, and I wasn't. Then I would drink a lot. I got drunk a lot, and had a serious problem with drinking. But also when I drank is when I was able to write. So I would, smash a bottle of Captain Morgan or something, and then these songs would just come out of me. Like I would just put pen to paper, and it just flowed. And then I went sober for a number of years. I was sober for 2 years straight. Nothing. I didn't have anything at all. Nowadays, I do drink, but it's very, very minimal. Like you saw me drink at Amplified, but notice I didn't pay for anything. Like I don't go to the bar.
So you will drink as long as it's free? Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, yeah, as long as it's free. No, I'll drink because I feel like if someone brings me something, I want to show them appreciation for it.
Okay.
But
But you don't
and I'll
struggle with it anymore. It doesn't control you. You're in control of having one drink or
no,
just enjoy it.
I wasn't alcoholic, but I had a drinking problem. I had and I was able to step away from it and see how it was affecting me and my life and things like that. And I changed it. And I think that's when I really got humbled as a musician too, and became much more gracious for the people that supported me. Um, and I could see that there was things in my way and hindering me. So I stopped drinking, but nowadays I do drink. If it's like a special occasion, the holidays, or somebody's birthday, or it's like a
So
social
let me
get.
ask you something. You said that drinking would allow you to become creative and get your creative juices flowing. I would like to think that somehow drinking probably removed the barrier in your confidence where you just felt comfortable putting out whatever you had in your mind. Do you feel that stop stopping the drinking prevented you from feeling that confidence to continue to perform, or at least even to yourself enjoy those original compositions?
I think that I have allowed it to become a crutch in my mind, where because I haven't written since I quit drinking, which I was 26 when I quit, and I'm 41 now. So I have not written a
So you
song.
haven't written songs in 15 years.
Nope.
Have you
And
had the
people.
urge? Have you ever?
hmm I do. Yeah, I do. I get the urge still, and I start working
And
out
you say that
melodies.
people what? I'm sorry.
People still ask me to write original music. They'll come to me and say, because some of the stuff that I've even loaded up, I've uploaded to my YouTube channel here lately, are those original songs from 15 plus years ago. And not without stroking my own ego, they're not bad. They're
Okay.
not bad songs. And so people will come to me and say, well, why don't you write again? Like, you had something. And I think I built it up in my mind that I can't unless I go get drunk, and I don't want to do that, so I won't do it. But
Okay.
I do church still. I've sat down before and I've tried to come up with melodies and try to come up with words, and then I'll immediately like throw it away because I don't feel like it's good enough, or maybe it's too sappy, or maybe it's not connecting with or it's not telling the story the way I want to tell the story.
What are your
'Cause I,
favorite songwriters, Joel? Would you call Ed Roland one of your favorite songwriters?
um, he's a great
I
songwriter.
think he's
He's
amazing.
also he's a difficult songwriter,
Define difficult. What do
because
you mean by that?
uh, if you start diving into the actual like words and lyrics of Collective Soul, you'll notice that you know historically choruses are just repetitive words, right? The chorus is the same every time.
Yeah.
It's not for he changes it.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
songs
Sometimes you
like
don't even know why the song is called that because you don't
yeah,
hear it in the chorus.
songs like "Listen." It's just it. They're it's a he. It's a long song of just constantly like of a story, and it's a lot of that song has a lot of words in it, man.
Is that
Like a
one of your
lot of,
favorites? Is that what you thought of it? Is
uh,
that one of your favorites? Listen.
no. Listen's actually it's actually one of my least favorite songs
Okay.
of theirs.
Why is it
We
in the set list?
it was one of their top 10 hits.
Okay, so it's one of those songs that you feel you have to play no matter what.
Yes, it's one of those ones that we got to put out there.
Now, you
Uh,
call him a difficult songwriter because the structure of the songs doesn't lend itself to somewhat radio playability. But what
yeah,
about the quality of it? Because I think it's incredibly introspective. Like when I sing along to them, I end up reflecting upon my own life to a degree.
hmm that's probably because Ed Roland is the son of a preacher,
Hmm.
and there's a lot more in his songs than other songs. But like their most popular songs, like say, "Heavy" is a huge popular song of theirs. one of the most lyrically easy songs of all time. You know, it has two very short verses and then a repetitive chorus, which is probably why it's popular, because it's catchy, it's hooky, and songs like,
Well,
oh, I don't.
December doesn't have a memorable chorus, or it's a long song lyrically, and yet still is a hit. And I'd
Mhm.
also say that The World I Know is a challenging lyric. I mean, to sing along to that with feel is hard, because if you connect with those lyrics, there's some emotional introspection going on. How do you feel about singing those lyrics? What do they speak to you as a person, even though somebody else wrote those lyrics?
Sometimes it's easy. Sometimes, like at Amplified, I was in a good mood, and I actually, like, right before I went on stage, I was over in that little tent area off to the right of the stage, and I was talking to Mark. You know, like, we brought Mark up a couple times. Mark is a really good friend of mine, and he lives like 5 minutes that way, and
Hmm.
we hang out. I was talking to Mark, and I got this email while I was standing there talking to Mark that said I just got offered a part in a movie, and so I was in a really good mood,
Hmm.
and so
Yeah.
that was easy for me. But throughout my life, whenever I've had troubles, like hard times, like I recently went through a divorce, and to get on stage and to perform some of those songs, like "The World I Know," like you're bringing up, and particularly that song, songs like "Run." Um, Anything where I'm playing the guitar and it's like it's a little bit more of the spotlights on me on those songs, because we do those breaks in those songs where it's just me and the guitar and the audience, and the rest of the band falls off. There's been times where it's been really difficult to make it through it, because I'm connecting with the words, or I'm connecting with the emotion and the melody of the song, or even the audience themselves, because you can see the audience can get emotional too. And it's there's times where it's really difficult to make it through those songs. When I play acoustic shows and I play a song that somewhere in my life has, helped me, or it reminds me of something in my life, I can get emotional during that too. So it just depends on my mood, or what's been going on. Like lately, I've been in a really good mood, so
Yeah.
it's been a lot
So
lately.
you said you'd be an open book, and I said that I would like to ask you tough questions. You said that you stopped drinking about 15 years ago, and yet your divorce was recent. For many
Hmm.
people, the connection will be much more closer in the timeline, the drinking and the separation. I myself have been divorced 2 times. So, was there any connection of you doing a lot of music? Was there anything of that that played a role into this? Because I would have thought that one of the hardest things to any relationship would have been the drinking, which is something that you have under control now. So
Hmm.
was there any connection with the music, as other people have said? Well, wanting to play music, it brings a heavy burden into my relationship. What was the case with
It
you?
does playing music, and especially being a frontman, put it put
A good-looking
hardship.
frontman, may I say?
You can say that.
Because
You can.
man, you do look good. I have no issue with my masculinity and sense of confidence to say that you look hot up there, man. I look at those arms and I was like, man, he sure is a consummate frontman. I mean,
It comes.
your second line in your Facebook description is gym rat, so you work on it.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah. I was a competitive power lifter, for a moment in my life, and actually won a few powerlifting meets. But then I got injured. I have a pretty serious back injury, even right now, and so in
It
performing
doesn't
like that,
look like you have a back injury when you're on stage.
no, no, it doesn't.
Is that back
And
injury connected to the shoes? Is that why you got those fancy shoes that you even wanted to speak about from the stage?
insoles that are in the shoes that are keeping my feet comfortable. No, no, the back injury was just years of powerlifting, and I just got injured, and so I can't do that anymore.
So,
So now I train as a bodybuilder.
okay, I want to go back to what we are discussing, which was your personal life and your divorce. I guess the divorce is
Yeah,
final, right? Because so did
yeah,
music or your career ambitions outside of a regular steady job play a role into your relationship having a burden? You want to talk about that,
yes,
please?
yes, yeah. It was very difficult. Um, I think some people can handle it and some people can't. Unfortunately, in my relationship, it made my wife feel really insecure, and I tried my best to, like, monitor that, or help the situation as best I could, because yes, I'm not ugly, And so, yes, I do get attention from people at shows, women that will come out specifically just to see me and not see the band, or approach me. There was times in my relationship where I was standing there talking to my wife, and I would even say on stage, "There's my wife right there." When I would come off stage and she's standing next to me, and women would come up and just basically disrespect her, and it played a huge role on us. It put a really heavy burden on her, and we got in a lot of arguments about it. And there's times where she didn't like it that I was a musician, and I would be like, "Well, I was a musician when you met me," so
Yeah,
But
yeah.
uh, it
So,
was it was
do you
it
have
was hard.
regrets about that? Because what I hear you say is that you are a musician, and I completely see that. I, for example, had a favorite artist for about I say about 28 years, but something happened in the last few months where I knew that I couldn't enjoy the live performance. I'm gonna say it. I was a member of the online fan club, and a lot of people would argue against the stupid fans that get up and sing too loud during the concerts because they're here to hear the artists, not the fans, and that they would ask that people would please ask permission in the seats around them before they stand up. I'm like, I don't want to go to a
What?
concert by that artist, and if I can go to a concert by that artist, why would I even care to follow as much as before?
Yeah.
That played a big role. The fact, I mean, it's an older crowd. It's an artist whose first album was released in '79, a solo singer. So
Mhm.
I know that there's things you cannot. My wife is incredibly in shock that I have said for the last 6 months that's not my favorite artist anymore, and I don't
Oh,
want to tell her that. And it doesn't compare to what you're saying, but you're a musician, and the fact that you enjoy performing live means so much to you that is not something you want to negotiate. I completely respect and honor that, and I can see that you're very honorable as well by saying that it's hard for other people. Do you have regrets when you look at how it all played out?
I have regrets that my marriage ended the way it did. I have regrets that it fell apart. I very specifically didn't get married until later in my life. I didn't get married till I was 35 because I wanted to be married to one person for all my life. And we made it till I was 40. And just there was a lot of things that happened. There was fault on both sides of it. I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm some innocent person. I made my own mistakes too. And if she's listening, I still love you, and I'm sorry it ended the way it did. But it, I do have regrets. Yeah, yeah, I do.
Are you friends? Are you still like?
No,
I
we're
guess you
not.
did not have children.
No, we don't. We don't have kids.
Yeah.
We don't have.
I really have a very soft spot in my life for that. First of all, my parents were divorced, but not only that, my grandparents were divorced. Actually, both of my grandfathers, my father's and my mother's father, both had multiple children with multiple women. My mother,
Mm,
this is a fact. This is not a ballpark figure. My mother has 25 siblings.
ooh,
My dad has about 9 or 10, and he doesn't even know. Well, he passed a long time ago. So I have experienced divorce on all accounts, and then even on my own life. I got married at age 23 to somebody who had been my girlfriend for 4 years, and we were dating 4 years, and then our marriage lasted a year and a half. Then I was married
yeah.
again for about 5 years. In neither of those marriages I had children, but I have a very good friendship relationship with the first wife, or
Mhm.
first ex-wife, or however you want to call it. But I haven't heard or spoken to the second one, the one that I moved to the United States with. So I have seen both sides of the coin, and it's something that when I met my current wife, I said, I'm gonna be a divorced man forever. There's some sort of hurt in my heart that will always be there. I can see so many consequences of that, but I have also found a lot of healing in music. One of the
Mhm.
strongest memories that I have when I was going through my second divorce was that I was listening to some of my favorite songs, Judas Priest at that time, I remember, and I was like, this song used to lift me up at all times, the Painkiller album in particular, because my father, that was the very first album he bought me as an import, meaning it was incredibly expensive. It was probably 2 days of his income that he had to spend into
Wow.
that record in 1990. And that song would always cheer me up when I had something to do at work, when I was just not feeling a good mood. But when I was going through that divorce, I played Painkiller and I was like, crap, it's not working. What am I gonna do? But music has brought so much healing to my life, Joel. Like my father passed after 5 years of me not speaking to him because of
Mm,
other issues with his life. I thought that being the hotshot 25 could tell a 50-year-old or 45-year-old man how to behave. And I said, I'm not
yeah.
gonna talk to him until he does my way. Unfortunately, he passed. And I was so traumatized by that that I didn't want to speak about it, but it's been music, particularly the songs that I remember, songs by Kiss, by Boston. The first words in English I ever learned were by trying to learn those songs. And now my children, I have a child who is 5 years old. He's 6 now. He hears Boston and he hears that's your daddy's song because he's heard me talk about it so much. And it makes me cry, but it makes me think of the song, The World I Know. Tears roll down my face because it's the world I know. It brings healing. It brings healing to have those. So I'm curious about, are there songs, or is even singing the songs of Collective Soul at times healing to you about where you're going in your life or have gone through in your life? Because those are very deep songs.
They are. They are. The songs that bring me probably healing or whatnot are actually from another band, and it's a band that no one's ever heard of. It's a Scottish band,
Del
but
Amitri.
no.
Oof. You said Scottish and my heart stopped because it's a man I talk to all the time and nobody's ever heard.
Nope, nope, nope.
Okay.
This band is called Biffy Clyro, and
Right. Never even heard of it.
yeah, it's a little three-piece band, and they're huge overseas, but they're nothing here, which is unfortunate because they're amazing. But it was a band that I kind of stumbled on a number of years ago, and it was a band that my ex-wife and I kind of shared a love of. Like
Did
we
you
both.
discover that band together with your ex-wife?
I discovered it by watching a YouTube channel I did it that I loved about music, and they just one day they were interviewing the singer of the band, Simon Neil, and I was like, well, let me go listen to this band. I never heard of them before, and all of a sudden it was just like instant. I fell in love with this band. They were amazing, and I showed them to my ex-wife, and she fell in love with them. And so there's a lot of healing I find in their music because it was a shared passion that I had with her. Um, and some of their new stuff and some of the stuff that was happening during our divorce, I was like, oh man, it's like the song's written about me,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
and so there, I find healing in that. And, I do some of their music on my YouTube channel, and I don't tell anybody this, but I'll tell you, it's because of the
But
connection
everybody else is gonna hear that.
yeah, everyone's going to hear it now, but it
Hopefully, a
is,
lot of people. But go ahead.
yeah, it's because of the connection I had through my marriage. I'm not sad that I was married. I'm not sad that I spent my life with somebody. I'm sad it's over. But there was happy points in our marriage too. And these songs are memories of those. And so a lot of the stuff I do, um, when I say my YouTube channel is for me, or the emotional parts of my channel are for me, it has to do with that. It has to do with, happy times in my life or shared memories I had in my life that I shared with somebody very special to me.
Would it be fair to say that your YouTube channel is somewhat of your emotional outlet, a way to
Hmm.
put your emotions there in a way that you can process them? Tell us again,
Yes.
it's Joel Clarke with an E, Clarke Music, correct?
Yeah. Got it.
Now, if
That's
I
it.
wanted to
Yeah.
find that song that you were talking about by your favorite Scottish band, what's the name of the song again so that people listening and I
The
myself can go and look it up?
the one on the YouTube channel by them, if I don't do any more by the time you release this, it's called Biblical. And
Biblical.
the the song itself is a little bit dark, a little bit, um well, it's just an emotionally heavy song. And when I recorded the video for it, because I do everything myself, unless I'm working with like William or somebody else, it's like this is the wall that's used in my videos. Like this is it.
Okay, awesome.
Uh, uh, I tried to put a different spin on it and make it a little bit more upbeat and make it a little bit more uplifting. And I'll tell you from the comment section of that song, fans of that band did not like that.
Oh, they did not like your cover?
They did not like that I
Maybe
changed this
what
or
did you
like
change? The sound, or did you change the way maybe you can express this in musical terms? There are some bands that when they cover a song, the emotion is completely different. But what did you change in your own mind, not in the commenter's mind?
I changed the emotion of the song, because it is like a darker, like heavier, emotional song. And I wanted to do the song because I love it, but I also wanted to be happy. And so I changed the song. It's in the same tempo and it's in the same key as the original, but the way I sang it was a much like happier version of it. And and the way the video is shot, I'm smiling a lot, and you can see that I'm in a good mood, and I because the words can be interpreted however you want them to be. And the real fans of the band, they didn't like how I did that. In fact, one of them called me pompous and said that I should never do music again.
Wow. How do you feel about that? Because you've mentioned that you feed on the audience on your performance. I'll tell you, there was a small crowd amplified on Thursday night, but it was a crowd that was totally into both bands, and it was exciting to see how much of the audience was giving. But how does it make you feel to get somebody who finds a song by a band they love, finds somebody like you? Because this is what I think about tribute bands. As much as I love the music, the person up there maybe doesn't love it as much, but at least knows the song better than I do because they're playing it. I mean, a guitar player has figured out all the chords. That guy has dedicated time and energy to that song and money. Now, this guy found you. They should know that this song means a lot to you, that you have nothing but respect for that song. You just wanted to interpret it in your own way. And I find that incredibly commendable. I would even say it's artistic. That's to me what the point of a cover when professional recording acts and major labels do a cover, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear somewhat of an interpretation, and I think you achieve that. I don't need to hear the song yet to know what you're telling me. You achieve that. How does it make you feel that somebody would take up their own time to just to be blasting insults at you?
um, it depends on the insult, really.
Being called
Um,
pompous?
um, I kind of laughed at that guy.
Okay.
You know, um, when you put this stuff out there, like you're sharing, like even what we're doing right now, Wilmer, this is an emotional thing. You're doing this because you love it. Well, not everyone that's going to see it is going to love it, and they're going to say some crappy stuff about it.
Yeah.
But you have to rise above that and say, I'm going to keep doing what I love. And so, if the insult's not very good, or even if it's really harsh, it really doesn't matter to me. But there is an insult on my YouTube page that really cut me. And it's on the video that I most recently released called The Silence that I worked on with William Velasquez. And a lot of the reason that insult hurt was because not just we really worked on this song. Like we took us 2 months to do this, and we stripped this song apart and rebuilt it. And there was so much work involved in it, and with the filming. And we hired a violinist out of the Ukraine, and she was amazing. And like then the video itself was so much work, and we really poured our heart and soul in it. And then somebody went on there and wrote basically like a dissertation about how terrible of a person I am because I did this to this song, and I shouldn't ever sing, and blah, blah, blah. And it wasn't that the insult itself was that bad, or I mean, it's a terrible insult. If you read it's like a, that, they really spent some time
Yeah.
working on this.
Yeah.
It's that I don't care if you don't like what I do. I don't care if you want to insult me. I don't understand it because I was raised differently. I was raised that if you don't have anything nice to say, then shut your mouth. But the way this person wrote this insult was like a flashback to like arguments that I had with my ex-wife, in a certain way that she would attack me emotionally, and this person was like they did the same thing, and that insult really hurt me. And it was for a couple of days, and I even talked to William about it, and he was like, you can't read the comments on YouTube. Like, you don't read the comments, because not
It's
more than
it
likely they're going to be bad.
it's yeah. It's
So
amazing. It seems that William is a very protective person of you, somebody who cares for you so deeply that he would want you to put music out. He works with you, yet at the same time wants to protect you from those comments. You said something
yeah,
that made me remember um, the last person I was married to before my current wife. One of the hardest things that happened were two actually, and both were connected to live music. You said why I do this. I've been reflecting a lot by now. Great, thankfully, and I'm so grateful to everybody who has trusted me. You are the eighth person I get to interview, even though at the time of this recording I
thank
have not released anything yet because I am so obsessed about being quality wise in everything, even in the cover that I have not put it out yet. We're in February 12th today. But anyway, going back to the reason I do this, I realize I do this for my own healing and for my own freedom of my soul and the desire to put out all the love that I have for live music. It doesn't matter if you wrote the songs, you're bringing them to life in front of me. I've never heard Collective Soul live. I probably would have never gone to a show by the band because before the pandemic, when I went to a show, I would want to go to very specific bands that would be very expensive. And
So,
having 4 kids, sometimes I would want to bring my kids, and I could probably,
yeah.
I have brought my 4 kids to a couple of shows. I spend hundreds of dollars. Couldn't do that several times a year. With tribute bands, I can. And seeing the songs come alive, it's just an amazing experience. But going back to what I was trying to say, I remember with my ex-wife, I knew of her favorite artist. It was a Cuban singer-songwriter who it's kind of an underground. I mean, it's kind of very famous in a specific circle of people who are drawn to this particular uh, ideological singing songwriting. And I knew about him. He has a couple of very, very popular songs. So when he came to my country, I believe in 1999, I had just lost a job. I didn't have a job. I still had some very scant savings. And I heard that this guy was there playing. So I decided to get a couple of tickets. She didn't know. She followed some music. She didn't go to concerts. And I went to pick her up from work, took her to the show, and we were in line at a fancy hotel because it was one of these guys that would perform only at a hotel, not at a big venue.
Hmm.
And she was asking me still because I was trying to surprise her. What are we doing here? I said, it's something you're gonna like. I'm sure you're gonna love it. I knew it was her favorite, absolute favorite artist. She began just feeling insecure. I had pulled her out of work, so she was
Mhm.
dressed in work clothes. People were dressed up for a nice evening at a hotel concert. She was upset that I didn't tell her in advance. And I remember she still enjoyed the music. She got up to sing. I was just so heartbroken. How could she not appreciate the fact that I brought her to enjoy live music? And the second big memory that I have was when we had just moved to Dallas. I was able to see my favorite artist for the second time. I actually changed my plane tickets when I was offered a job in Dallas in 2002. The first thing I did was look at the internet. Barely had ability to access the internet to find out if she was playing at all. And she was playing at a date a few weeks away from where I had been invited to start working. I changed my plane ticket to be able to see her. I came alone. 6 months later, the same artist was touring and she was playing in Rockwall at a church. So I even had to borrow a car from my boss to
Oh,
drive from North Dallas to Rockwall. I didn't even have a car then. I brought her with me and I brought the cheapest tickets, like 200 feet away. This is it's an artist who is known in Christian circles. So it was a church performance. It was a huge church. But at one point she said, "Hey, there's a lot of empty seats here. Why don't you come over to the front?" And I said to her, "Do you want to go?" She's like, "No." I mean, she was not enjoying it being there. She's not familiar with the music. She didn't speak English back then. And after like 2 or 3 songs, I said, "I'm going to go because if I don't go to the front, I'm going to regret this forever." Uh, and if she gets pissed and mad as heck, I'm just going to have, at worst, 2 bad nights. 2 very bad, lonely nights sleeping on the couch. But I will regret forever if I don't go to the front of the house. I still have pictures of when I took that show. The sad part of the story is, yeah, we ended up getting a divorce. The good part is I did go to the front row. I don't have any regrets about it. I'm just thinking I should have gone from the very first song. I should have gone as soon as she said you can come to the front. So the live music experience to me is just so powerful and meaningful. It brings healing to my life. It allows me to create memories with my children, Joel. And before we go, because we've done a little bit over an hour and I know that you have many commitments to do, I want to ask you 2 things. The first one is in your Facebook description, it says attempting YouTube fame. How do you reconcile that with the fact that there seems to be a couple of instances where YouTube has brought you painful moments, like in these comments? Are you still attempting YouTube fame? And doesn't it make you think that you're exposing yourself to more hurt and criticism that it's
mhm. Of
uncalled
course I
for?
am. Yeah, of course I am. Every time I step on stage, I'm opening myself up to criticism. I think you have to recognize where the criticism is coming from. Is it, is it another professional musician that has been doing it as long or longer than you that knows what they're talking about, or is it just somebody hiding behind a keyboard that doesn't know what they're doing and doesn't have the resume to critique you? A lot of these people don't. You know, if you were a graphic designer and I'm not, and you design something, what right do I have to say you did it wrong? Like none, zero. Uh, so you don't. I'm not going to give you my opinion. I'll just tell you, yeah, it looks great. Unless you say, "What's your honest opinion?" I'll say, "I don't really like
Okay.
it." But
Well, I've heard it for tribute bands, especially I heard this from guitar players. They can tell who is a guitar player in the audience because he's the guy that's got their arms crossed and trying to examine every move, and they could be a harsh critic. So you're
of
saying that you would welcome criticism from somebody who knows what you're doing, but isn't it possible that
course,
somebody who knows what you're doing could be a very harsh critic because they're
hmm
unimpressed?
So what? I'll take, if it's someone that knows what they're doing, like you and I both know Bart. Bart is an amazing musician, an amazing guitar player. If Bart was to give me criticism, I would take it, even if it's poor, and I would learn from it and I would move on. If it's just somebody in the audience that is some drunk idiot that thought that we played that song poorly, that's not even going to affect
A
my night.
drunk idiot that says, "Hey, shut up and show me your hits."
Yeah, yeah.
Don't play the deep cuts. It's funny that
I
you
will.
mentioned Bart because again we're recording this on February 12th. I'm gonna see him perform live tonight for the first time. Bart Bang Bemmel in his Run to You tribute
Mhm.
to Brian Adams. I have met him personally only once, and it was at a show a couple of weeks ago, a Def Legend show. So there's a lot of connections in this. It seems like a
Yeah.
very close knit community
You're
that
gonna,
I feel so grateful and
two of
blessed to be becoming connected to. So I want to pivot from my last question about how you feel about critics. How do you feel about now thinking about your original music? Because it seems that you are your harshest critic.
my,
How have you thought about navigating that? Have you ever examined? Because you said that some people have asked you about it. Does it ever cross your mind where you sit and think, maybe I should try it? Do you still have the desire to even play your original material either to an audience or to yourself?
at times, yes. If I'm alone and it strikes me to play, I'll try to write, but I won't do it if there's anyone around me, like, or if the neighbors are in the driveway, I won't do it, because it's really personal to me, and like sometimes finding those melodies can be difficult, and finding the right words to say, and putting and just opening your mouth and saying it out loud. Like I said, you're your own worst critic, and sometimes I might have stifled something that might have been great, but it didn't sit well with me that day or in that moment. So I think at one point, probably sooner rather than later, I- I'll find my way back to it. I have a lot of creative outlets right now. I've been really blessed. Just lately, in like the past month, uh, I fell into these creative outlets. I wasn't trying to. I wasn't looking for it, and being divorced and being single and being by myself, I found a way to fill all this extra time. One of that is the modeling thing. I never thought I was material for that. I never thought that I had that kind of look, and somehow I got asked to do it, and it has been nonstop busy for me. In fact, when I get off of this with you, I'm going to a photo shoot. um, I've done like four, and I have five more to do, and one of
When
them,
was your first photo shoot? How long ago was the first photo shoot?
I did a photo shoot while I was married. It was supposed to be privately for my wife. Um, and now those pictures are on the internet. They're on my Facebook
Were
page.
they leaked? Oh, you posted them yourself.
I put them on there, yeah,
Okay.
because it was for my wife, and it's not. I'm not nude, and I tell all these people like, you'll never see me naked. Like, that's not. I have a brand to protect as a musician, and I won't do that. Um, and so I did it back when I was married, and I paid for it, and with a very, very awesome photographer. And I told her the other day that no matter what happens in my life, she'll always be one of the first people I thank, and so I will thank her right now. Her name is Cindy Dawn, and she is amazing.
How
And
did
I
you
did a
find
shoot
her?
off Facebook.
Can
I
you
followed her
tell
all.
us more how to find her if anybody would be interested in having her photograph them?
Yeah, if you just go to like my pictures that she's done, which are the older pictures done in 2020, I'm shirtless in them, or I have a sweater on or something like that. She's tagged and everything. All of
Okay.
her, or go to her website, which is, I believe, Cindy Dawn Photography. She shoots mostly women. Her deal is to empower women, and she's an amazing photographer. But she shot me, and then like a month or so ago, I was talking to a friend that was a model, a female model, and I'm always trying to diversify my income portfolio. Like, I'm always trying to make more money. And I thought, do you think I can make money at this? And I used those photos that Cindy took of me to put out there onto these agencies and these websites. And it was like, just, my email just blew up. Like, my email and
Mm.
everything just blew up. I never thought that I had like the look or something, but apparently the way I look and my height gives me an advantage over a lot of people because I'm so tall. And a lot of female models are tall, and they want to do things with male models, but they're all shorter than them. So my height gives me an advantage. And
How
then
high are you? How tall are
I'm
you?
6'3".
Wow, that is very tall.
Yeah,
For
I've
some
always.
reason, it seems like your band members in Reflective Soul are tall as well, because that was not something that immediately jumped to
Yeah,
mind.
you're looking up on the stage.
That true. That true. Interesting. Now, here's something that I need to say, because I cannot help but think, Joel, you decided to take those pictures for your wife in private as a gesture of commitment of I don't know exactly now, but it was private. It was something that you were not confident to sharing with the world. Yet somehow at one point those very same pictures of you not feeling confident as a male model you used to get it, your toes in the water, and they
Mhm.
proved to be very successful. They proved to reflect that this third line that you mentioned in your Facebook profile, aspiring male model, was a serious, if you would call it an income earning potential venture.
Mhm.
I cannot help but think, what would happen if you decided to record some of your original songs on YouTube without any aspirations, just for you and the close group of friends that would pay attention enough to follow them and hear them and see what happens? Because at worst, and defining lack of popularity as worst, you would at least probably find the joy of recording your music and having it for posterity.
Yeah.
I just wanna say that I cannot help but think there's an analogy between those bare-chested, hot hunk pictures of Mr. Joel Clarke, and again, I'm so confident to say you look certainly very good. You inspire me to get into shape, and I'm thinking there could be an analogy there with your own music, because it seems that you put a lot of thought into every creative endeavor. You put a lot of heart. You are not afraid to share your true feelings, and I think that's what people gravitate to. People
Yeah.
gravitate to human connection.
Yeah, there are two of my original songs that I've done the past month that are on YouTube. They obviously don't do as well as the covers do, just because they're titles that no one's ever heard of. But
What are the titles?
one of them is called "Take Me Away," and the other one is called "Fall Down." And I think there's a lot of religious undertones in them. I was raised in the church, and I was, like people in my family are preachers, and there's deacons, and my grandparents were in a traveling gospel group. So even though, like, when I listen to music, I listen to new age heavy metal. That's what I listen to.
Who are your
Um,
favorite bands?
right now, like Nothing More, I Prevail, Bring Me the Horizon,
I see.
uh, Ice Nine Kills. I listen to
Hard,
real
heavy stuff.
heavy stuff. That's what I listen to. But when I write, when I record, it's a completely different person. And I often say that there's two different personas when it comes to me. There's Joel Clarke, who you all get to know, and who you see on stage, and even when I go to my day job, that's Joel Clarke. And then there's the other side of me, that's my real name. Uh, it's my real name is Joel, but my last name is not Clarke.
Oh,
And
interesting.
yeah, Joel Clarke is a stage name, and there's the real me, who's a quiet introvert who doesn't like people to talk to him, who doesn't like I don't want to be touched, I don't want to be looked at, I don't want to be talked to. I just want to be by myself, and that's a guy that makes music and puts it on YouTube. And that's the much more emotional person. Joel Clarke is a joyful, I'm gonna smile and you're gonna have a good time and everybody loves you. That's Joel Clarke, and it's an act that I put on because I have to use it for my day job. I'm in sales, and I have to be a likable person, and I use music career, and now I also in this modeling career. And from modeling, I stumbled into acting. I actually got casted in a role as a main character in a movie, and I just did
Not
a
this YouTube series by your friend.
no, like an actual movie.
Okay, that's amazing. What define actual? What does it actual mean? Produced in
It's independent.
Hollywood or a studio?
This is an independent film. It's being
Shot
put
here in Dallas, in the Dallas
out.
area.
I'm supposed to go do the table read next week, but
Okay,
yeah, it's
but you got the role because you said table read. Do you have the role?
yes, I got the role. I went in to read for a support character because I've never acted before in my life, and I thought that if I'm going to do this, I probably want just some person that's like got a little part in the movie. And while I was there, I read my lines for the support character, and they said that was good. Why don't you read the lines for this? It's the main villain in the movie, the main like alter ego in the movie, or alter,
Anti-hero.
whoever. Not the hero. The hero is a female.
The
Uh,
anti-hero.
the
The
anti-hero.
antagonist.
Yeah. Yes, and so they had me read for that, and they gave me like this big piece of paper with like all these lines on it. And I got to look at it for about 30 seconds, and then I read for a character I had no idea about, and I had to like really act. I had to like walk around the room, and I had to put on this persona, and I had to act like I killed a guy, and like all this stuff. And that's the part they gave me. They gave me the main villain in the movie, the anti-hero. And so
Joel, I have to say this again. Once more, you've proven yourself that there's a lot of creative and artistic talent that, as long as you allow the opportunity to read for a supporting role, you're even considered for the one of the main protagonists, even though it's the antagonist. So I just hope that what all the people that come to your show seeing you, which is a true rock star, driving people and girls crazy from that stage, that what I see in you, that it's a man of many talents, of a lot of grace, of an incredible temperament, somebody that I've grown from liking how he sings to liking the way you think and admiring as a person. I hope that somewhat that can be connected to your original songs. You said the name of those songs. Can you repeat them again for the
yes,
audience so that we can look them up on YouTube, please?
yes, one of them is "Take Me Away," and the other one is "Fall Down." And they're just both. It's the titles just say Joel Clarke, dash "Take Me Away," Joel Clarke dash "Fall Down."
Any particular line in the lyrics that means a lot to you? There's some lyrics that sometimes we're able to capture everything you were feeling. You want to share one line from either song?
From "Take Me Away" in the bridge, um, I say a line that says, "Lend me your hand." Uh, what is the line? It's and I mean, I'll just have to sing it. You want to do that?
Oh, please go ahead. I mean, the only person who has constraints sometimes is you. But
I'll
whenever you're ready, we can.
for you. Let's see. So lend me your hand and show me the way. I could be the man that you've wanted. Well, just open my eyes, show me what you need. I could be the man that you've wanted. I could be your man. I could be the man.
I'm just gonna clap once because I don't want to create noise here. But that's an amazing gift you've given me. That's an amazing gift for our audience, and I hope it's a gift to yourself to be able to express those beautiful lines in song, Joel. It's amazing. I'm grateful for you sharing. Um, I love your music, man. I cannot wait until one day you say, "Hey, I'm gonna play ticket or not, venue or not, in my garage. I'm gonna play some original music for some friends." I would hope to know about it because I will be there to cheer you on and support you. From what the few seconds I've heard, it's amazing work. It's well done, and I am just in awe of all your talents, and I am grateful for sharing them. Those
I
are
appreciate
powerful lyrics. I guess they were meant for somebody special, or with somebody in mind. Has that
it.
person ever had a chance to hear them?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay,
That,
that's
still
great.
a friend. That person's still a friend of my life. So
Good, good. That's good to hear. Okay, Joel. So I think that we have very limited time, but I hope that we'll have more opportunities to keep chatting. I just have one final question for you.
okay.
When I read at your Facebook profile again, tribute singer, gym rat, aspiring male model, and attempting YouTube fame, there are very specific targets. If I were to look back upon your life in a few years, what would you like to be one of those lines that define you the most? Or any other line that you could think of? If somebody were to look at Joel Clarke from 2025 or 2030, what line would you hope that would be there?
I hope that I get something going on with my YouTube because that's the only reason I do the modeling and the acting and things like that is because I want to push people towards my YouTube channel because that's where I get to be creative. And if I can push more people there and get more followers and even, maybe even make a little money, I can upgrade my equipment, I can upgrade my cameras, I can give you better content, and like I said, it's that's my outlet. A lot of people think the stage is their outlet or whatnot, but for me, being able to sit in my home studio, which is behind me, and make music that I love and care about by bands that I love and care about, and share it with the world. And I hope that I can just support that habit and become better and become a better musician and become a better person at the same time.
Great, great. So everybody who's listening, Joel Clarke Music, Clarke with an E. And he has been so gracious to lend us of his time to let us know more about him. He didn't let us know his real last name, but it doesn't matter. The person that he wants you to know and the name that he uses to share all his creative output is Joel Clarke Music. Go please to the page on YouTube, youtube.com, Joel Clarke Music. Joel, thank you so much. I look forward to seeing you on stage. I look forward to following you on YouTube now. I'm going to be looking for those originals. I'm going to be looking for those covers. And I'm also going to be looking for your male modeling pictures that you decide to post, because you got something and you got to show it, just like with your songs, sir.
There's a
Thank you
lot.
so much, Joel. It's been a great time. Anything else you want to say before we say goodbye?
I just want to say thank you to you, Wilmer, and for your listeners and people that are tuning in. Just thank you for supporting us, us musicians. You know, we're just regular guys, just trying to do the best we can to bring you the music that you love, and we love it too, and that's why we do it. But we can't do it without people like you, Wilmer, and without people that pay for to come to shows and like, and out, buying the tickets and spending their time. Time is money, and we appreciate that. And just thank you so much for supporting us, because without you guys, we're just a bunch of dudes playing guitar in our room, and we
True,
want to
true.
be there and we want to play for you. And the most the best gift you can give me is that clap at the end of every song, that applause. That's
What
mean.
about it? Yeah!
Yeah,
Does that count as a clap?
that counts. That counts. That
Joel,
counts.
thank you so much. I could go on talking with you for a longer time, but I know that time is limited, but we made the most out of it. So I'm so grateful for you. And I always like to say again, I've said it before, but again, thank you for playing live music, for bringing joy to our lives, for bringing the opportunity to make memories. Guys, whoever is listening, come check Joel, check his YouTube page, check Reflective Soul, go see them live, buy those tickets. You'll even get a free sticker from the stage to you with the
Yeah.
Reflective Soul band name. I got myself a couple of them. Those are great. So please support live music. Go see shows. Go see Reflective Soul. Check them out on Facebook and check Joel Clarke on his YouTube page. Thanks, Joel. Have a great day.
Thank you, Boomer. Appreciate it.